I believe that if we are honest with ourselves, that the most fascinating problem in the world is who am I? What do you mean? What do you feel when you say the word I myself?
I want to fly the train! I don't give a fuck! Oh, jeez. Hey, what's going on, bud?
¿Qué piensas en esta forma? Então não fica minha só que eu tenho que ver.
Oh, jeez. Hey, what's going on? I don't give a fuck! Oh, jeez. Hey, what's going on, bud? Yeah, you can't get out of it! Oh, jeez. Stop joining friends, you widows!
I think that I am familiar with the fact that you are going to ignore this particular problem until it swings up and bites you on the ass.
Like, just kidding, my new catchphrase is, I don't give a fuck!
It's asking a lot to believe that the problem is going to fix itself.
Guess what, bitch?
Our technology and our numbers have both reached a state where inadvertently we can pose a danger to the global environment, especially through the atmosphere.
The whales have the 15. Are you a pervert or something? Okay.
Now, nobody pretends we understand everything about the global climate.
I didn't cut out. You heard me. Google it yourself.
There are feedbacks, some of which you warm the Earth a little bit, and the tendency will be to further increase the temperature, so-called positive feedback.
What I'm saying is the planet's on fucking fire.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win.
I don't give a fuck!
What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? Tonight, we're going to be taking a look at a video. Well, it's a segment of a much larger video, but it's 3 Catholic priests who are going to be discussing 3 atheist objections. Apparently, atheists have these objections either to Christianity or I guess something, I'm not exactly sure what their objections to, but we're going to fuck around and find out tonight what the 3 objections are that they're discussing. We've also got Today I Learned shitty ass science and comments. So I hope that you guys will stick around and fuck around and find out what in the world we're going to be talking about tonight. So we'll see you here in a second. Today's video is brought to you by Exter. So before we start, here's a word from our sponsor. Yes, GE, I have got all of your liquor here. I got your Jack Daniels, your Moonshine, and your Kraken. So, one second, good sir. You're paying for this, right? Yes, I've got your wallet. All right. I'll pay for it using your PayPal. Okay. All right, I'll be home soon. Bye. Hold on, I've got to find his card in his godforsaken wallet here. What is this? Is this it? What the hell?
He's an ordained minister? Okay, news to me. Alright, that's not it. Wait. He's got an Olive Garden gift card. Why does he have an Olive Garden? You know what? I'm just going to keep this for myself. I mean, he doesn't eat there anyways. Yeah, I got this extra wallet right here. It is the best wallet in the world, I am telling you. It's so easy to use. You just pop this right here. It's RFID protected and everything. It's even got a nice little flap where you can carry some extra stuff in as well as some cash. Also, you can't lose it because it's got a GPS tracker in it. You know what? Since I'm here, I got my wallet out and it's just easy to get to. I'm going to go ahead and pay for this with my PayPal. Thank you, good sir, for the alcohol. If you want your own extra wallet, use the link in the description to get 25% off your purchase at extra.com.
All right. Yes, tonight's video has been partially somewhat sponsored by Exter. Again, I got contacted by them and they were like, hey, you want to do it again? I'm like, sure. So I've got a more like a different ad that's going to run next week, but we definitely got sponsored again by Exter, which we're so glad to be able to provide some kind of advertisement for them. They're pretty awesome.
Listen, donating this much money only secures your seat in hell.
All right. So, if you guys don't know here on the channel, any of the proceeds, including the super chats, like the one that we just got, and we also got one from Daniel that I'm going to read too. And there's Rudy Kisley.
Listen, donating this much money only secures your seat in hell.
A portion of all revenue that's generated here on the channel is going to be going to a charity of some sort each month. This month, we're going to be donating to two different LGBTQ charities. We are going to be getting a poll up for the Skeptic Mafia members to pick one of the charities that we're going to be donating to. So if you want a chance to divert some of this charitable money to an organization of your choice, then you should consider joining the Skeptic Mafia. Like I said, portion of those proceeds, as well as any ad revenue that we get here, any super chats, goes to donating to these charities. In the past months, we've been able to donate tons of money to like the Recovering from Religion Foundation, several different food banks, and just all great stuff. So first up, though, we've got Daniel M, who says, David says hi. So far, he has not had symptoms. Daniel let me know earlier today that his boy David is currently in quarantine because he may have gotten he got close to some relatives that had some COVID-19 positive tests and everything. So I'm really hoping that David's okay. David, if you're listening, I hope that you're okay, bud. Hopefully it won't be all that bad if you end up being positive for COVID-19.
What are you doing?
Man, ooh, hon, blew your load there, hon. And we got Cadence. And apparently, David is saying good night.
Woo! Bear money.
Daniel M. Good night there, David. I hope you have a really good night there, bud. And then we got let's see, Rudy Kisley, who says, "Come for the breadsticks, stay for the eternal damnation." That's right. They're going to hell too. Rudy is. Uhan Roderick says, "Take my money and do shitty things with it because shitty people and all." That's right. We're only the shittiest fucking people here. And then Cadence says this is for the LGBT charity pool. So awesome. Thank you so much there, Cadence. You're such an awesome part of every single stream every Friday night. So we've got all of that taken care of. And do you happen to know what is first up? Everybody should know this, right? Today I learned. Sorry. I had a little bit of like heavy metal going there. I don't know if you can do a heavy metal with like a ukulele, but I mean you could try. No? Okay. Well, first up on today, I learned that a group of experts reviewed thousands of studies on weight loss supplements and treatments and rated them for their quality and bias. They found 52 reliable studies, only 16 of which showed any significant weight loss effects, reinforcing how bad the science behind weight loss marketing really is. So don't get suckered into those weight loss things. Just, look at the science on diets and exercises, and sure you'll be able to figure that shit out. The supplements can also be pretty dangerous. I remember it was either the first or second season of House. There was a girl that had a thyroid condition, but she didn't know she had a thyroid condition, and then she like nearly overdosed on she nearly overdosed on these weight loss meds, and she ended up having a heart attack. It's a TV show, obviously, so take it for what you will, but still, those things can be very dangerous. So y'all just watch out for yourselves out there. Okay, let's see. Next on today, I learned that Ford originally wanted to unveil the 2021 Ford Bronco on July 9th, 2020. However, the debut was rescheduled for July 13th when it was pointed out that July 9th is the birthday of O.J. Simpson. Oh man! How awesome would that have been? The newest Bronco debuting on O.J.'s birthday. That would have just been the best thing ever. Uhan Roderick said, but seriously, you guys are amazing. I still can't thank you enough. You too, Cadence. Hey man, I'm glad that we've made it to this point, and you're here on the stream and everything like that. You're so awesome there, Uhan. Thank you for being here tonight. Next on today, I learned that a new study finds that because mongooses don't know which offspring belong to which moms, all mongoose pups are given equal access to food and care, thereby creating a more equitable mongoose society. Woo! Elizabeth Richardson. Mongoose. Mongoose. Maybe it's like a moose. Maybe it's like a moose situation, Elizabeth Richardson says, glad to see the Trevor Project is one of the charities. Also, got a house offer accepted finally. Woot woot! Side note, one of my good friends is a global product manager for the Bronco. Lol. That's pretty funny. Good news for us. We should be able to move in the next couple of weeks. So, or a few weeks rather. There in July there might be a slowdown in original content. I might have to do a lot more director's cuts in July, and if that ends up happening because I'm moving and everything, that's the reason why. So we'll come out of it on the other end in a much better situation. So I can't wait to show you guys that. But Uhan will do some cuts. Me and Uhan are going to work together, and that way everybody will be happy for the month of July. But as far as the mongoose thing goes here, I just have to laugh that like the moms don't know which babies they gave birth to. It astounds me that they just don't they don't recall. Oh, did you pop out of me? I don't know. Here, suck on a tit. I feel like that is hilarious. Let's see. Mongoose. That does look like a meerkat. What the fuck? It got upvoted 61,000 times. But I mean, it's possible that the actual thing could be talking about mongooses and superficially mention meerkats or something. And if they just had a meerkat picture in it, it could have been accidentally rendered as the presentation. So, or the icon for sharing it out on social media. That's really funny though. I didn't notice that. I didn't think about that. That's kind of crazy. Good catch there, Sunian. But anyways, y'all know what's next? Yeah, well, comments of the day. Yes. I don't have a graphic thing for it yet, but we do have a song. Comments of the day. Prepare to facepalm yourself in the next week. All right. So let's get some shitty ass comments up here, shall we? Feel like this one's very apt for this month. I can't remember if I covered this last week. I may have, but LGBTs are aliens pretending to be human and manipulating us. Fuck it, everybody. They figured us the fuck out. They know that we're trying to manipulate them into equal rights. I mean, that's the only thing. It's like, oh, how are we going to give the LGBTs on Earth equal rights? I know. We'll pretend to be human. And we'll pretend to be part of this demographic. And then we'll manipulate them into giving them equal rights. This seems, yes, it's very convoluted when you could just persuade people to give you equal rights, I guess. That's still kind of weird to me, like persuading somebody to give another person in the same country equal rights as other people. Like, it seems fucking weird to me, but I'm apparently just built differently than dumb fucks. Oh, this is the guy that we all love in the comments sections. 90% of Nobel scientists believe in God because that matters, doesn't it? Even if it were true. I don't think it is, but even if it were, it wouldn't fucking matter. But he says, atheists fail to prove that there's more genders other than male and female. The joke is on you, haters. What does this have to do with atheism? Like, atheists don't have to prove anything about genders. I mean, atheists don't have to prove anything at all. We just, don't believe in a God. That's it. Like, I don't understand why you've got to mix up different topics like this. It just seems weird. Do you think that atheists are the only ones that, are very progressive and, want to gain recognition for people that don't match what people think is normal? Like, I mean, you think atheists are the only ones that want to normalize these kinds of things? Woo! That's KC's money. Your money. I'm sorry, Wilson said your ukulele skills are greater than your hairline. You know what? I've got a badass hairline, okay? I don't care what in the fuck y'all say. I'm perfectly fine with my widow's peak. I mean, this is a bad, like, it's not some kind of, like, really bland, just straight across the thing, framing up my face and everything. No. I've got character, okay? This is character. That's what that's called, and you're just jealous that you don't have as much character as me. That's the way to turn it around on them there, Gleason. All right. Hold on. Let me find this. Huh? Oh, it's where my horns used to be. I will be gladly indoctrinated, or not indoctrinated, but inducted into that particular demographic right there. Hold on. I'm getting something here. I'm preparing something. Wait, y'all are gonna see what I'm doing. Hold on. Okay. Listen, everybody, all right? when I had my baby in hospital, the dark form, the harbinger, okay? The harbinger came and told me it had come for my baby. And I let it know that I would devour her and eat her and put her back in my body before I let it take her. And it slinked out of the road. Did she just say she would cannibalize her own child? And it was a very full-on experience. That means the demon exposed its dick to her. I was so glad to have prior knowledge of such things, but even happier to have such a strong, real maternal instincts. I felt like that deserved the conspiracy background. I gotta find a better one. I wish I had kind of a blank one, but whatever. Anyways. All right, let's go. There's nothing to say about that one. It was just crazy. It was fun. Next up. Oh, this is some really bad. This is some bad women's anatomy right here. I was today years old when I found out that period blood has tiny bits of dead baby throughout it. How the fuck do women deal with that and act like it's totally normal? Not against periods or anything, but I can't get my head around that. That's not how periods work. I personally don't have periods, but I know that's not how they work. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I know everything about people's bodies in general, but that's not how periods work. I don't know where they get the dead baby bits all throughout it. Jesus Christ. Somebody needs to educate that motherfucker. May the power of Christ compel you to get the fuck out of here. Deansy's D Dreamer says, to KC, my favorite was the one about monkeys using money, but I loved all of them. You are awesome. Oh, if you're... Yeah. Yeah, because they were doing the porn thing. Or no, prostitution. Prostitutes. Yep, even monkeys do it. Alright, I've hid the response here because it's kind of funny. Nita says, I hate cancel culture. Imagine God canceling you because you did or said the wrong thing. And then, quick on their feet, they said, the very first Bible story is God canceling two people over an apple. Wow, what? That's a good point. Not only did God cancel humanity then, but he also canceled most, if nearly all of humanity with the flood. So I don't know what they're bitching about. All right, and then last today on the comments, we've got Mr. Max Bovian, who says, true. Children born out of mixed-race couples are often incompatible with both parents if they need tissue transfer due to being too far genetically. Also, you will share fewer genes with your own child than you do with a random person sharing your ancestry. Yes, what in the racist fucking Alabama shit fuck what? Like, I do not understand this at all. Like, you need to go back to some basic high school science class when you study genes and shit. That's not how anything works, motherfucker. Anyways, all right. That's going to be it for the comments tonight. I always appreciate everybody that comments on the internet for the obvious reasons of being able to laugh at them. But next up, do you know what's next up there, hon? Yes, shitty ass science. I don't have to play it. TED Talks with GE. Maybe we should change it from shitty ass science to TED Talks with GE. Or Brocephus, sorry. TED Talks with Brocephus. Shitty ass science. We're gonna answer some science shit really wrong. Well there, heathens. How y'all doing, huh? This can't be YouTube legal. Why are there titties and nipples on the screen? Well, shit. Y'all best get your barbecue bear and freedom ready, because I'm going to explain some sciencey shit here. This person asked, do all mushrooms have nipples? Why don't they produce mushroom milk? Woo! That is a good answer. I don't know if you know this, but mushrooms do produce their own, like, liquidy substance whenever you cook them. So, I mean, that's not exactly milk, but listen, nipples on mushrooms act just like nipples on a man, okay? Basically, the mushrooms are always female when they're first released by their parent unit as a spore. They're all female, and then for some reason, some of them turn male. Now, I've heard through the grapevine of fucking science and shit that mushrooms often have more than one gender, so they're not strictly female, but fuck that shit. We don't do that game here. They were female, and then some of them turn male, and some of them turn female, but they all retain nipples, okay? This is very important, all right? Now, when you're out hunting for mushrooms, you want to make sure you don't get the nipply ones. Like this dumb fuck right here, he shouldn't have picked up the nipply ones because those are obviously poisonous. Them being on his shirt's probably going to seep through and end up causing him some kind of cardiac arrest because it's right there near his heart. So, I feel sorry for this young man right here because he's probably dead now. Also, don't do this shit on the nipply mushrooms. This only excites them and causes them to explode into the spores. And then you've got a Last of Us situation on your hand here where they'll infect your body and act like that one thing that causes you to turn into a zombie. And then what do we have? We have a fucking Last of Us situation where Joel, his daughter dies, and then he's got to go on like this quest to where he ends up getting the shit beat out of him with a golf club. So, I mean, this doesn't turn out well for anybody, especially Joel, who got his ass handed to him. Did it? I'm not Babe. This is fucking right, it did. Okay. Anyways, that's going to be it for the sciencey shit. I'm glad that I could educate y'all. Don't go out there and touch the nipply mushrooms, and I guess that I will see you heathens later. Bye. Shit, what? Hold on. There we go. Woo! All right. Cadence in the comments. Spoiler alert! Never mind. No one wants to play it anyways. I actually played Last of Us 2 all the way through. And I did like it, although I did kind of feel like the second part was going a little bit too long. But, you know, whatever. There's no nipply mushrooms. Don't worry about what Josephus said. All of it was wrong and a little phobic in certain areas. But in any case, they do look like nipples, though. I'm sure that this video will no longer be, well, it'll be limited to no ads. But luckily for everybody that wants to donate this month to an LGBTQ charity, we're doing pretty good on the chat revenue tonight, like the super chats and everything like that. Of course, we've got the Skeptic Mafia that's always, here every single month, helping us do the donate thing. And then there's the ad revenue. So yeah, I'm perfectly fine with, limited to no ads on this one. Thank you so much, everybody. Anyways, all right, y'all ready to get to the response tonight? Because we're finally gonna get there. I don't know if Canadian Catholic's still here, but we're finally getting to the Catholic hate that you're really burning for. Okay, there, buddy.
Persecution.
Oh God! Oh, the persecution! He's reviewing Catholics! Just to live up to what Canadian Catholic, I guess, thinks, I did look up one interesting statistic. 1% of Catholic priests have been accused of pedophilia. Just to say. All right. So, tonight we're going to be... Wait, who's your buddy? Notifications are on. All right, hold on. I got to sing this. All right. Who's your buddy says donate to charity with KCNGE. 1%. It was like 4,392 priests have been accused.
May the power of Christ compel you to get the fuck out of here. Listen, donating this much money only secures your seat in hell.
Yeah, so I was using the most current numbers to get that percentage. It was 4,932 priests that have been accused of it. Of that, 3% have been convicted and 2% have been sentenced. It is very gross, but I was really hoping that I could be like 1 in every 3 priests. And then we cut to the group conversation with 3 priests, and everybody's like, God, one of them has fucked a child. But that's not the case. It's 1%. So the majority of priests have not done that.
Woo! Bear money!
Daniel M says, accused, not caught, right? Yeah. Jonathan Hanchak says, straight to hell with you. Oh, wait, it doesn't really exist. Never mind. Thanks for all the great content. Have a good night. I guess Jonathan's out of here. See you later there, Jonathan. Andrea Vincent says, thanks for all your content. Give your wife a microphone. Lol, love her laughs. All right, honey. I'm going to have to give you a microphone. You keep talking. Then you don't need to talk.
What? Is this a 2 Timothy situation?
Yes.
Because I will fuck you up.
Dude, Timothy, what the fuck ever? I'll fuck you up. All right. She's mic'd since somebody sent a super chat to get her mic'd.
Listen, donating this much money only secures your seat in hell.
Obviously, Dreamer. Yes, that's how you book your seat to hell. And she also says, or they also say, I sure don't want to go to the other place. I know, right? Fuck, that would be hotter. All right. Anyways, so tonight we have 3 priests who are going to be
a bar.
Huh? What?
3 priests who are going to a bar.
3 priests going to a bar. We're going to have 3 priests that are going to sit down and have a discussion. A discussion about atheists and their objections. The atheists and objections. Quentin Van Boven says, time for an interruption. What are you drinking? Oh, that's a very good thing to ask.
I don't know if y'all know this, but every time you donate, the Lord cries.
There you go. So this is actually Diet Coke and Chattanooga whiskey. There's 2 different kinds of Chattanooga whiskey that was at my local liquor store. that I paid for with my extra wallet right here.
Like the wallet paid for it?
No, it contains all of my cards. Leave me alone. So this is there's one that's like 100 and some odd proof, but this is the 94 proof. So it's potent, but not as potent as it could be. So y'all just remember that.
Can I try that? Like take your wallet places and see if it'll pay for shit?
I mean,
Does it work on Amazon?
If you take the card out and you put the numbers in, yes. You know how to put numbers in.
I save my numbers.
Anyways, we got 3 priests talking about 3 atheist objections. Each priest is going to take one of the objections, and we're gonna review it tonight. And I'm going to show you how these aren't really atheist objections, but even if we do object to these things, I think there's good grounds to object to them. Somebody subscribed. Thank you so much for subscribing. You don't get too many of those during a live stream. Thank you. All right, let's get to this shit, shall we?
What we're going to do, we're going to kind of rapid fire this as much as possible, is some of the main objections that atheism brings up, which I think we need to take seriously, and what is our response to that as Catholics. So one of the first ones we'll start with is atheism. Richard Dawkins is a great proponent of this, against the indoctrination of children, the brainwashing of children, the warping of children's minds, and we teach them about God, someone that we can't see. So.
Okay, so I just want to address the entirety of the topic before we get into the elaboration by the priest in the middle there. So yes, I am very much against the indoctrination of children. I don't see this as like an objection against Christianity or anything like that, but they're kind of vague about what these objections are to. I think maybe it's just supposed to be general objections. Maybe it's not objections to Christianity or anything like that, but the other 2 that he's going to bring up are in relation to Christianity. So it's kind of weird that he has this one that's not. But in any case, indoctrination of children. An archaic definition of the word indoctrination, of course, means to teach, right? That's the intent of the word. But in a modern context, especially in a religious context, indoctrination is about telling your child what to believe and telling them that uncritically, like not telling them that this is one way to view it, or, this is one belief amongst many. They tell them, well, this is what you should believe. And for the most part out there, parents don't want their kids to believe anything different. I don't know if y'all know this, but every time you donate, the Lord cries. Uhan says, I object to his objection. So with indoctrination, childhood indoctrination, you're telling the child what they should believe and not allowing them to explore their options, explore what they believe. I feel like it's my job as a parent to help my son come into who he is as a person. I'm supposed to be there to guide him in the direction that he's supposed to be, and be like a good direction that he should be going in. Now, that's not me controlling, anything about him. That's me being a resource for him and trying to bring him up to where he's a positive member of society and where he can survive on his own and shit. And what?
Eventually they survive on their own, right?
Eventually.
Okay.
I mean, I kind of got thrown into the deep end when I got kicked out when I was 19, but, not everybody can do that.
I mean, I purposefully left then. I didn't need to get kicked out. I was like, I'm out of here.
I mean, you purposefully left. I got kicked out, potato, potato. But in any case, I feel like if you're going to sit down and tell your child what they should believe, especially about faith and everything like that, and not allow them to explore what they believe, I feel like at that point, that's harmful indoctrination. Now, I don't see every religious family out there as being indoctrinating to their children. I feel like there are definitely some ways to parent as a religious person and not indoctrinate your child. But when we're specifically talking about childhood indoctrination, we're talking about, this forcing of a belief onto your child and not allowing them the leeway to explore whether or not they really believe that, to not give them like competing ideas or anything like that. This is a lot different than teaching your child like scientific facts. For one thing, scientific facts are supported by evidence. And if you have evidence and you're teaching them, well, this is the fact, this is the evidence as to why this is a fact. That's not teaching it uncritically. That is teaching them why it's a fact and the evidence to support it as a fact. And that's how it's very different than religious indoctrination, because religious indoctrination just has a book. Just has a book and it's like, listen,
Jesus,
that's what we believe, and if you don't like it, you can get the fuck out. I mean, obviously that's a bit more of an extreme version of it, but you get my point.
About God, someone that we can't see. So how would you respond to that, Father?
I'd say, well, that's a interesting thing that we're not called to because can you flip the word indoctrination with teach? So like, and like teaching children is extremely important. Like I teach my children to eat their vegetable. I don't, obviously not. Maybe you do because you're married. You taught your kids that like I have to teach them like what's healthy, because like if a child's gonna eat ice cream all day, they're not gonna eat their vegetables.
This is not
and so like teaching a child is important. And so like especially teaching them truth as well as helping them to separate fantasy from reality.
That part right there got me, because he's like, and you're trying to help them separate fantasy from reality. I'm totally sorry, priest. You believe that a magical bearded man in the sky, which I get it. That's not what like modern Christians maybe see God as, but last time I checked, we have a plethora of fucking images for hundreds, if not thousands of years of bearded white dudes in the sky looking down and judging us all the time. So if we have this preconception that it's a bearded white dude in a toga up there, that's your fault, okay? Let's just get that out there right now. But anyways, you're saying that you help children separate fantasy from reality, but you believe a bearded white dude in the sky flooded the entire earth and then created rainbows to promise that he wouldn't do it again? And you're wanting to separate fantasy from reality. Also, as noted by people in the comments, as well as KC over there, you can't just swap the words around. Teaching somebody that it's good to eat vegetables and that it's healthy for you to eat vegetables is different than telling them what to think. Teaching them the benefits of a good diet is different than telling them that God doesn't want you to touch your dick.
Well, and the benefits of a healthy diet are backed by science.
I was getting there.
I mean, we have evidence of that.
Yes, we do. We have evidence to support all of the scientific shit that he talked about there, like the mathematics, the diet shit, everything else. We have evidence to support why those are good reasons or good things to do or good things to know. We don't have evidence for God and his like bearded self up there in the sky.
Reality. Now, Dawkins' presupposition is that God is a fantasy.
Right.
Okay, but that's a presupposition. He presupposes that to be true, and from the perspective of a theist,
You are blessed by Christ, ma'am. Or sir. You are blessed.
The Jim Tanker got blessed by Christ for saying the rainbow wasn't to remind people that he wouldn't flood the earth again. It was to remind himself not to flood the earth again. So much for being omniscient. That's a good point there, Jim. Thank you for the correction. But shit, I forgot what he said. I was going to say something about it.
He presupposes that to be true, and from the perspective of a theist who believes in that God is one and God is there,
So now he uses Dawkins. Obviously, I'm not going to use Dawkins. Just atheists in general, we don't presuppose that God isn't there. There's no evidence, no good evidence to support the conclusion that he is there. So why should we accept that he's there when there's no evidence to suggest that he is? It would be a lot like me saying the exact same thing that you did about the big dick T-Rex walking around Palestine in the 1st century. It's like, well, you just have a presupposition there wasn't some big magnum ass T-Rex in Palestine going around offending people with his giant schlong. Like, you just have a presupposition against that, you fucking bigot. I mean, it's the exact same thing. Like, you don't believe in the big T-Rex in Palestine, I don't believe in your God. I feel like it's a fair trade-off. It's not a presupposition, it's just a lack of evidence.
That God is one and God is there. Is also that, like, you also want to teach your children morality from an early age. And I also want to teach my children to be selfless from an early age. And that's why, like, I'm not going to wait until my child is 13 or 14, where supposedly they have cognition, right?
Well, so, I mean, you could teach a child morality without religion. You don't need that. Like, I get that your morality is deeply tied with your religion and some kind of loose capacity. Because let's be honest, if it really was tied with your religion, you'd be out there stoning people in the streets for either being part of the LGBTQ community or because one dude fucks his neighbor. I mean, your morality is not exactly tied to your religion. Your morality is tied to what your religious leaders have told you it should be tied to, which is not the same thing as what's in the Bible. But I digress. You don't have to be religious in order to teach morals to your children. Of course, many apologists out there, I don't know if these guys would find themselves in this camp, they would say that atheists steal from God in order to have morality. Like, they use God's morality and they don't give God credit. And so that doubly makes us shitty fucking people. But the fact is that morality, like what we see as our common moral foundation in any given society, has been molded by that society. Society is what lays down these social norms that eventually become a moral foundation. So you're basically taking something that's been, societally generated and saying, oh, no, fucking God. Because I got a book that contains some of the same shit in here. There's no way that the societies that where this Bible was written in could have potentially had some of these very common and basic moral foundations that we find now. No, it had to be God.
Right?
Supposedly.
Right.
Father Tom, you teach high schoolers.
I've
got a 13-year-old.
Yeah, so I'm just like, no,
you.
you're going to teach, because that's also the whole basis of Judeo-Christianity, is that Abraham was called to teach his sons. The passage of faith happens to children. That's what God commands, actually, is that a child is taught. Because I can also tell you this, children know nothing.
That is an excellent point there, priest. Children know nothing. You have to force it on them. Like religion, that is. You have to force religion on them.
Sorry, to the children know nothing point, do you know what the age of reason is in the Catholic Church? What they consider the age of reason.
Oh, wasn't this like divulged in like a court case or something?
I mean, it's part of the Catholic doctrine. 7.
Oh, 7?
7. Do you know any 7-year-olds who are fucking reasonable? Because I've never met one.
Yeah,
except for me, of course. I was totally.
You're the exception. You're the special case, huh, honey? So yeah, 7. I remember a court case with a priest in it, and he had no recollection as to what the age of reason was, or something like that. I can't remember. It was like a deposition of him, and he didn't know if a child could consent to sex or not. And it's really fucking weird. Anyways, I do agree with this priest that children know nothing, and so you have to impart this information onto the children. While the same could be said for anything that you teach a child, you're teaching children facts. You're informing them about reality. Religion doesn't have any supporting evidence to suggest that any one religion is correct. And if you're teaching your child about God, and you're teaching it uncritically, as if to say, this is how the world is, and you don't have any supporting evidence other than, your book, then you're teaching it uncritically.
Like, that's why they have to be taught by their parents. It's also why when parents neglect the instruction of their children, it's actually a evil. It's not a good thing to ignore children and to ignore their instruction. And we know this in truth, and we know this is true in math, we know this is true in science, we know this is true in the humanities and English and language studies. And there's a presupposition, I'd say, on the part of Dawkins, obviously, is that well, you don't teach them about fantasy.
And Dawkins actually wrote.
Well, it depends. If you want to teach your child about fantasy as it's fantasy, as in not real, then that's perfectly fine. Because you're not trying to shape their moral foundations, or you're not trying to shape their view of the world, or a view of reality. You're telling them, hey, this is fantasy. And I'm not saying that religion is fantasy, but it's definitely not a correct view of reality. So I feel like if you're teaching it uncritically, that's still childhood indoctrination, and I feel like that can definitely be considered harmful. If it doesn't, trying to think of a word here. If what you're teaching your child does not match up with reality, then that can ultimately do a lot of harm to your child. It may not be immediate, but eventually those kinds of worldviews can end up hurting your child in one way or another.
Dawkins actually wrote a book for children as well recently about how to indoctrinate children into a materialistic worldview. So it is interesting.
So the child's going to be indoctrinated one way or the other, or taught one way or the other. So I think
it seems weird to me to talk about, teaching your children about the material world and how, that's really all we have evidence for. How is that indoctrinating your child into materialism? Like, you're not saying, oh, the supernatural doesn't exist. It said, hey, listen, the material world is all that we have evidence for. That doesn't mean that the supernatural doesn't exist, but we just simply don't have evidence for it. So the material world is all that we know. And the material world is all that science can describe. If anything seems supernatural, but we can end up describing it in reality, then it's part of the natural world and is no longer supernatural. Like, this is not indoctrination. This is just teaching children basic shit.
I do think it's a false argument.
And if we're teaching children, hopefully we're living it too. And I think that's where the consistency needs to happen. All right, I got another one. So people are only good or only believe in God because they're trying to avoid burning in hell for all eternity.
Yeah.
So the objection is that people only believe in God to prevent themselves from burning in hell. And while this might be true for some Christians out there, religious apologists have an argument specifically geared towards this in order to convince people to believe in God. So yes, if some religious people out there only believe in your God because they don't want to burn in hell, again, this is your fault. It's your fault that people believe this if this is a problem. And I'm sure that there are people out there that struggle not to go to hell every day. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, like, I was always concerned with going to hell. I'm like, oh shit, I cursed a little bit today. Is God going to send me to hell for that? Or, oh damn, I looked at that girl's ass in the mall today. Am I going to go to hell for this? Like, I really don't think that you need to be putting that kind of pressure on a, child going through puberty. Like, I don't think that kind of pressure needs to be put on anybody at any point in their life where they're so scared to do any one action that they're going to anger the Lord and cause them to be burning in hell forever. Like, I feel like that's very emotionally and psychologically toxic to that person. But again, just to get back on point here, if people only believe in your God because they're afraid of burning in hell, then that's your fault. Not like these guys specifically or even personally, but I'm talking about Christians and other religious people in general. It's their fault because of them using Pascal's wager, which is a really shitty argument. But let's see what the priest has to say.
Yeah. So, and you hear this from quite common. I mean, and I think some of the roots kind of comes from our own problem of, Occam's razor of, you want to believe this because if it's true, look what you inherit. But even if it's not true, look at the good life you lived and what have you got to lose? And so
I don't think this guy knows what Occam's razor is, because Occam's razor says that the solution with the least amount of ad hoc assumptions is more than likely the true solution, or the true answer, or whatever, like is the most likely conclusion. So, I mean, I don't see how that meets the Occam's razor definition, because to me, all of that just, has so many ad hoc things attached to it, and only causes more questions than it really gives answers. So I don't understand how how Occam's razor could be applied in this situation. But let's see how he answers it.
Kind of plays into some of it, but also the fear of what happens next. I mean, I think everyone.
Shit, it's frozen again. Hold
on. Of what happens next. I mean, I think everyone has a issue.
I don't know why it freezes up like this.
We're going to do issue with what comes next after death, how I live my life, and then also areas of justice. If someone lives a bad life, what's going to happen at the end of time? I mean, there's no ultimate justice to it. So,
I've got a lot to say about this. There's no ultimate justice in Christianity whatsoever. I've actually got a video of this on our second channel, the Godless Engineer Shorts. If you just type in Godless Engineer Shorts, you'll be able to pull it. It's got a blue icon on it. It's a blue QR code. Anyways, there's no ultimate justice in Christianity. He talks about how, well, if there's a bad person, what happens to them after this life? Are they ever going to be served justice or whatever? The only time that we are available to serve justice to somebody that's done something bad, to make them pay, for whatever bad shit that they did, is right now during our lives. Like, there's no justice afterwards, and that's because of how Christianity's set up. Now, considering that these are Catholics, you could be Catholic and you could still go to hell. Like, just because you believe in Jesus does not mean that you're getting into heaven under Catholic theology, if I'm not mistaken, right, honey?
Yeah.
Right. So, I guess in Catholicism, actually, there might be a sense of justice if you've been bad. If you're a Catholic, like one of the 5,000 or however many Catholic priests out there that have diddled little kids, they will most definitely be going to hell afterwards. Maybe. I don't know. If you repent for your sins, you truly repent, you don't do it again, I guess they could get into heaven. I mean, I'm not really sure how that works out. I'm not God. But my point is that in Protestantism and in Catholicism, there are definitely ways to get around, going to hell or going to heaven. So I don't want to hear this shit about ultimate justice. The only time that we can serve justice is in the here and now, making them pay for whatever wrongs that they have done now. Don't wait for death, because at that point it's too late.
I think there's lots of issues that go into it, but the real question is I'm just trying to avoid burning in hell, so I'm going to believe in this. I got my fire insurance, if you will. And so believing in God is a way of, it's the opiate of the masses. I mean, it's the way of really curing, putting salve over that fear, that constant struggle of, when I die, what actually happens? And so, I mean, in some ways you can ask, which is worse, that there would be a hell and a heaven afterwards, or that there would be nothing?
Personally, I hope that there's nothing. I really, because I don't want to spend an eternity. Here's your two possible outcomes in a Christian view, right, of the afterlife. On the one hand, you can go to heaven, which sounds great initially because of what we've been taught, throughout our lives. Heaven's great. It's a paradise. Titty bars everywhere. But in reality, heaven is just, you get brainwashed and you just pretty much suck God dick the entire time. And you're up there praising God, worshiping him just all day, every day, day in, day out, whatever the fuck. Or you can go to hell and you get thrown into a lake of fire, maggots feed off of your flesh, fire retardant maggots, obviously. And, there's a gnashing and gnawing of teeth and, I don't know, there's probably a pineapple involved there. I'm not sure. But you get my point. Like, both of those places do not sound ideal, right? None of that sounds good. And honestly, I think that the human psyche, as we exist right now, definitely has a limitation on to how long you can really last just living forever. I think at some point you would just go fucking nuts, right? I feel like at some point you would.
No form of justice at the end of time, that there would be no form of reconciliation at the end.
So sorry, guys. The thing froze up on me, and so now I've got to try to restart.
We're going to issue with what comes next after death, how I live my life, and then also areas of justice. If someone lives a bad life, what's going to happen at the end of time? There's no ultimate justice to it. So I think there's lots of issues that go into it. But the real question is I'm just trying to avoid burning in hell, so I'm going to believe in this. I got my fire insurance, if you will. And so believing in God is a way of, it's the opiate of the masses. It's the way of really curing, putting salve over that fear, that constant struggle of, when I die, what actually happens? And so, in some ways you can ask, which is worse, that there would be a hell and a heaven afterwards, or that there would be nothing, that there would be no form of justice at the end of time, that there would be no form of reconciliation at the end of time, but that it would just be an end. So someone could live any kind of life they wanted to, and there's nothing at the end of it that really reconciles those things.
Well, see, I'm perfectly fine with there being nothing after this life, because the real effect that you have is in the here and now. What you do now affects other people. And in that way, we can live on past our mortal lives on this earth. If you just think about it, how many people are still affected by Alan Turing? Everybody, whether they know it or not. Alan Turing left such a large mark on history that it's just, he will never be forgotten. He's as close to as eternal as you could be. Now, not eternally living, but his name will be remembered for as long as humanity's around, I'm sure. So it's so fucking, weird to me that he has this idea that you could do anything in your life and then, there's nothing after that. So what's the point? Like, anything, what's the point? And yes, you can do anything with your life. And if you choose to do bad shit with your life, then hopefully you're punished rightfully for it. But if you do good things, then you could possibly be remembered after. Of course, the bad people are also remembered afterwards, like John Wayne Gacy and several serial killers that are still popping around in our heads today. The point is, though, is that the only way that we can really have any kind of hope for an afterlife is by affecting people in this life. And hopefully people choose to affect other people in good ways so that they're good memories that are passed on. Of course, Catholic priests went a different way with
not wanting to burn in hell also
comes from this idea of I'm worried about who, you know, my family members. I'm worried about the people around me, and this compassion that we have towards other people, and that's a very good thing.
Hey, I don't know if y'all know this, but every time you donate, the Lord cries.
Thank you, Almost a Doctor. He says, when I was a believer, I had a weird relation with Pascal's wager because I don't think you needed to be a Catholic to get into heaven. Also, beer money. That's interesting. That I guess, were you Catholic there, Almost a Doctor? I guess that you were Catholic, considering you mentioned it.
Other people, and that's a very good thing. And so in some ways it kind of works the other way as well. It works, you know, as if I'm not living a perfect life, I'm not going to hell because there's nothing at the end of time anyway. And so it just becomes a complex issue when it's really a very simple, you know, a very simple issue as far as whether it exists or not. And so the acceptance of you know, the acceptance of God to kind of protect myself from the fear of what happens next.
So
I feel like he didn't really answer the question here, did he?
I feel like he also confirmed the objection.
Yeah.
Is that what he just did?
I felt like he turned it from like an objection to like a positive thing. Like,
yeah, but honestly I don't think that that's why most Christians are Christian.
I don't either.
I mean, I'm sure there are some
yeah
who are like, well, I'll believe just in case. And then like maybe the people who are non-practicing, you know what I mean? Like definitely not evangelicals, but I'm certainly there are some, but I don't think that it's like super common.
Yeah, I don't think it is either, but I also don't think that it's a positive characteristic that the only reason why you believe in God is because you won't go to the hell that God or people that believe in that God say exists. I mean, ultimately, you're hearing from other people that this imaginary place exists and that you need to believe in their God because their God has the cure for the hell that he created. I don't know. It seems pretty fucking weird to me.
Well, here's the other thing too. Like, if that's your intent, like you believe to make sure that you don't go to hell.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. That just doesn't seem like a tension.
Now, I feel like, you know how like people like Ray Comfort and other apologists like that, they're like, God knows what's in your heart. So if you're faking it being a Christian, you're still going to hell, buddy.
But
like,
it's almost like you're doing it to get a reward.
Yeah.
Like
the reward is not burning in a lake of fire. Yep.
Right. Like, okay, so I have to do this. I have to be good. I have to be what these that are good so that I don't get punished and I get this reward in heaven after.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that doesn't speak well.
No,
because
but
like atheists, we don't need that. We can be good, decent people without that.
Right.
And you can too. I mean, everybody can. I just don't know why people need that to be quote unquote good.
I don't understand why people would need that either, but I think that it's I had something to say, but I forgot it. It's okay. Let's just continue. We're only about halfway done with the video.
Things that comes up, and I'll answer this one. Darwin, evolution, the Big Bang have disproved the need for God, and I think some people are.
Okay, so this if you couldn't hear him because it was kind of a short part. Basically, evolution and the Big Bang have disproven God or have proven that God is not needed or something like that. We got Daniel M with another super chat real quick.
You are blessed by Christ, ma'am. Or sir. You are blessed.
Daniel M got blessed by Christ, saying, I was brought up as a Baptist and we were made to fear hell quite a bit and taught that others not in our church is going. I was legit scared for my friends. Yeah, so the thing that I was going to mention before is that totally fucking forgot it again. Fuck me. Okay.
That wasn't my fault.
No, it wasn't your fault, baby. It was my own fault.
obviously is.
Right. Okay. I always state this. Well, the one time that I've debated in public, I've stated that, evolution, because there was an evolution debate. Evolution does not prove that God doesn't exist. The Big Bang does not prove that God doesn't exist. It doesn't prove that there's no need for a God. This is not an atheist objection, because atheists shouldn't be saying this, for one. For two, these are scientific principles, and I don't think that science can ever describe God. So why would science disprove something or show that something's not needed when it's not geared to being able to do that? So I totally disagree with this being an atheist objection. At most, what you could say, what these principles show, is that a literal reading of the Bible is not congruent with reality. Like, it does not comport with reality at all. So I feel like at most that's what it can show.
And I think some people are surprised when we say, as Catholics, that you can believe in evolution. That's a scientific, obviously it's a scientific theory, so we wouldn't make a scientific claim. Now scientists, like Dawkins, are very, very comfortable making religious or philosophical claims, which, I would contest that. But so as a description of what has happened of natural selection, or what has happened as far as the Big Bang and the formation, of stars and galaxies and supernovas. That actually, what's interesting, the Big Bang comes from, the philosophy or the science of it comes from a Catholic priest, Georges Lemaitre, who understood that the universe comes from something, that we're not self-creating.
Einstein even questioned him.
These guys are just getting shit all fucking mixed up. Okay, for one thing, which I actually had this pulled up earlier, and I think I can probably get back to it. So George, how do you pronounce Lemaitre?
I don't know.
Sorry, George Lemaitre. He was a Catholic priest. But that had nothing to do with his finding or his hypothesis of the Big Bang. Okay? He was also a mathematician, astronomer, and a professor of physics. Okay, that's a very important point here, because, and I want to read directly from, this is Wikipedia, but it's well sourced, so I'm fine reading it. George proposed an expanding model for the universe to explain the observed red shifts of spiral nebula, and calculated the Hubble law. And he based his theory on the work of Einstein. So, while Einstein may have initially pushed back against his hypothesis, by about 1931, which 1927 is when Lemaitre came up with his hypothesis, and by 1931, Einstein was already on board with him. Okay? Before that, the reigning scientific hypothesis about the universe was that it was static. It was eternal. So this new information that was well supported by evidence and science, regardless of whether or not it came from a priest, it's still good science. But all the time I hear apologists, just like these guys right here, try to claim the Big Bang for religion. But that's not at all what happened. George, he investigated this purely based on observable evidence, and he came up with a plausible hypothesis to explain this evidence. That's science. That's not to say that science has disproven God, or has proven God's not needed, or has proven that God was needed for the Big Bang. God has nothing to do with it. It's all about observable evidence and being able to explain that evidence. And that's what he did.
Actually, yeah, he had to correct Einstein's theory because Einstein believed that that the universe has always existed.
Right.
So didn't believe in the expanding universe
until 1931 when he did.
So being able to engage in those questions, that our faith is part of that, but recognizing too that praise God, there are limits to science, and no scientist lives purely scientifically. Like no one does. We all live with love and poetry and art and all sorts of other ways of experiencing truth.
I mean, you realize that those things can be scientifically examined and quantified and stuff. Like there are scientific disciplines on comedy, on what makes art beauty, like or what makes art beautiful. I mean, there are these scientific endeavors to explain these things, and so I don't expect anybody to live purely scientifically or whatever in the fuck that could mean. But at the same time, to suggest that means that people have these just innately have these like supernatural beliefs, which he lumps like beauty and love and all this other stuff, those are still just emotions that you're having. Like those are chemical reactions in your brain that are sparking and causing you to have those experiences, and thus are fully explained by science.
That can you scientifically prove, Doug, why you love your wife? Can you scientifically prove why you love your family? It's like,
oh God, not that again. I fucking hate that particular answer right there because it's just so fucking dumb. Hold on, it froze up again. I gotta do my magic.
what we're going to do, we're going to
issue with
all sorts of other ways of experiencing truth, that can you scientifically prove, Doug, why you love your wife? Can you scientifically prove why you love your family? It's like, no, you can observe it and you can be like, well, I say this many nice things a day, but that's not the why. And there's deeper questions that all of us ask. And so,
well, I don't think that like proving that you love your wife, like he makes like loving your wife or the act of love in general to be like some kind of supernatural thing. I mean, love is shown by your actions and your words. And I mean, you can quantify all of that. You can quantify what actions you take, like whether or not the first thing that you get up in the morning is you kiss your significant other. I mean, like those things are quantifiable.
And so that Darwin, evolution, none of those things disprove our faith. None of those things. Now, when I try to reduce all reality to scientific theories or scientific knowledge, I'm not only left without faith, I'm left without meaning, I'm left without purpose, I'm left without beauty and art and goodness.
How are you left without those things? I mean, those are just emotions. I think that if you take a materialistic view of reality, being that the physical world is all that exists, you're not missing out on any of those things because those are chemical reactions that happen in your brain that give you those experiences. Those are all very quantifiable in reality. In fact, like, there are times when we use the quantifiability of those things in order to treat disorders that are concerned with those things. Like depression. I mean, that's a chemical imbalance in your brain. You can fix that with medication, with therapy. And because it's quantifiable, we can do those things. And all of the things that he listed there, with the exception of like the supernatural, we still have those things on a materialistic world. Obviously, religious apologists, they don't want you knowing that you can still have those things if the material world still is all that exists. Your brains exist in the material world, therefore all of those things can still exist.
Beauty and art and goodness and transcendence and all those things that I think are essential for our humanity. So it really is a sad way of living, and I'd much rather take my life of faith that also has science rather than having this life of science that doesn't have
I mean, I don't know why you got to go that far there, dude. It's a sad way of living not to believe in something that I just don't believe in. Like, is it so much better?
No.
That's KC's money.
Woo! My money.
And then Uhan says, I'm a material girl living in a material world made of plastic, so bombastic.
You legit just sang Material Girl to the tune of Barbie Girl. I want to break your uke right now. So, Madonna to be respected.
Madonna's to be respected. I don't see how it's like a sad view of reality. I mean, I get it. You hang your faith, or you quantify your faith pretty, like up there, like in your world, right? Like you hold it in high regard. So any idea of a life without believing in God is obviously gonna sound horrible to you. And, you know, a life believing in something that I really just can't believe in, that seems just as bad to me. I prefer to believe, and I'm getting this from Matt Dillahunty, just so that nobody thinks I'm trying to steal anything or anything or plagiarize. But I want to believe in in more true things than false things, right? I want my worldview to be as close to reality as it can be. Until you can provide me with the evidence that God exists, then, up until then, I will not believe in a God. And that says nothing about my ability to experience love or beauty or anything like that. He acts like we're just completely devoid of emotion if you believe in a material world. And I guess those that are not just completely emotionless, apparently those people are lying about whether or not they believe that the material world is all that there is. And I don't know, that just kind of seems a little shitty to me. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say to you that your worldview is just sad. I mean, depending on your reasons for believing in a God, I think that can be sad. I think it can be sad if you deny yourself something that's perfectly fine just because you think God won't like it. Like, I think that's sad. I think very specific instances of things are sad. I don't think that any one worldview is just sad. Barring any of the outliers that are sad worldviews, I guess.
It doesn't have
Yeah, I mean, right. I'm jumping off that point. I love a quote from G.K. Chesterton, who is as you guys know, but for those who are watching, G.K. Chesterton, prolific author in the early 1900s. G.K. Chesterton said, the saddest thing about being an atheist is the fact that they have no one to thank. And so, like, but think about that for a moment. I mean, what Chesterton's getting at is that what happens in my life is not accidental. It's not a cosmic accident of chaos, but that actually there is someone who has benevolently gifted me, and therefore this, as a reciprocal response, brings about thanksgiving and thus joy. But
see, I've run into this about how atheists have nobody to be ultimately thankful for, or that in some way there has to be a God to direct our lives or something like that. And then we're supposed to be thankful to this ultimate person, right? And I just don't see the evidence that suggests this. I can be thankful for things, and I don't have to be thankful to an ultimate source of goodness or whatever in the fuck. If you define thankful just means pleased and relieved. All right? If you're pleased and relieved about some situation, you can be thankful for that situation. And you don't have to be thankful for any one person. You can just be thankful in general. I do think that things happen by happenstance. I do think that in this, chaos that's out there, things just happen. If you think that things don't just happen, then that means there's somebody out there directing this shit show. And if you think there's somebody directing this shit show, then obviously you think that, you know, Catholic priests diddling little kids was something God wanted to happen. Or starving children in Africa is something that God made happen. Or, you know, somebody that gets into a wreck who was drunk driving, they're the only ones that survive and they kill a whole van of children. That is something that God wanted to happen for one way or another, and it's got to be good because it's God. Honestly, that right there is kind of a sad worldview. To think that God's directing all this shit, he's causing this bad shit to happen, and then we're just supposed to get on our knees and suck Jesus dick for it. Or suck God dick, whichever one you want to think about. It seems really fucking ridiculous to me.
If you have no one to thank, at the end of the day, and maybe you can thank your parents for obviously various things they gave you, and so like there's a certain level, but Thanksgiving is still limited to just like something which is passing away, and that's why like Solomon, going into the same thing in the scripture, says vanity.
Maybe you should quit drinking all that beer, GE.
Alex says, I would like to thank my mom and dad for giving me a life. There you go there, Alex.
Vanities, everything is vain. Like this kind of, as he's not talking about like it's vain in the physical sense, he's talking about meaningless.
Woo! That's KC's money.
Ooh, Limited Light gave KC some money.
Nothing has meaning because Solomon still did not know Christ.
Yeah.
All right, so like there's been this discussion of there's not any kind of meaning or anything like that on a materialistic worldview. It's been mentioned a couple times throughout the video, but I would say that the reverse is often true of what religious apologists often make it out to be. That you know, atheists actually find a ton more meaning to their life than when they were a religious person. Now, I'm not saying that every religious person, you know, has no meaning to their life. I'm saying that as an atheist myself, I found way more meaning in my life after I found out that I wasn't going to either be living in heaven for eternity or burning in hell for eternity. That made my life right now mean so much more. So it's a complete mindfuck to hear some religious person tell me that I have no meaning in my life because I don't believe in a magical sky wizard that's got this, you know, majestic beard going on.
Did not know Christ.
Yeah.
There still is the missingness of Christ within Solomon's experience. That's where like the patriarchs were hoping, and like this, the human heart hopes for meaning, hopes for something, like we hope for meaning beyond death. We hope to make a lasting impact. We also like it's in lasting impact that we also find like gratitude and joy, which is unending. But if there is no God, like at the end of the day, there ultimately is no one to ultimately thank, which is like it's a very sad experience. Like there would be atheists obviously who would probably disagree with me on that, but I would still find that to be a very.
I feel like every atheist would disagree with you on that, priest, whoever in the fuck. I feel like a lot of atheists would disagree with you on that because we don't have to have somebody to ultimately thank. I don't know why a God is necessary in order to be thankful. And I don't know why it's necessary to thank one singular thing in order to be thankful for something. And I've heard religious apologists make the distinction that like, well, I don't see why you're objecting to this because you're right. You don't believe in a God, so there's nothing to be ultimately thankful for. But it's implicit to the statement here that you need to be thankful to some kind of ultimate power or something like that. Like, he's making it out to be like it's a bad thing that you can't be thankful to God. And because I don't believe God exists, that he's not necessary or anything like that, that means that it's not necessary to be thankful to it. Talking about it like it is necessary is just a bit disingenuous to me. But anyways, that's going to be it for this section of their video. It's much longer. I'm sure after the show tonight, I'll have a link in the description that you guys can go to, and you can watch the entire thing, not just this one section. But for right now, that's all for that video. We are going to be heading into the Skeptic Mafia comments. If you've done a super chat tonight, I cannot thank you enough, because this is going to be the last Friday that we're doing collections for the LGBTQ community and the LGBTQ charities. So I really appreciate everybody coming out and doing the super chats. Like Cadence just now saying,
To Timothy, what the fuck ever? Shut the fuck up.
Cadence, and I'm thankful I'm not required to have a deity to thank. Right? Me too there, Cadence. But we're going to be going into Skeptic Mafia comments. If you don't know, the Skeptic Mafia is the memberships that we have here on the channel. If you become a Skeptic Mafia member, you can help pick the Friday videos. You can leave a comment for me to read on the Friday live streams. You also get access to a podcast that we post specifically for the Skeptic Mafia members, and you get emojis like you've seen people using in the side chat tonight. You can use those emojis too. Almost a Doctor says have a bit more than. Oh, thank you so much there, Almost a Doctor. You're awesome there, dude. But like I said,
Just a little bit of money.
Just a little bit of money. Typically that goes to KC over there.
The little bits.
The little bit of money.
The little bits add up.
They do. Let's see. Go to community tab. Let's bring this up. Okay. So if you're going to be leaving out right now, because this is the end of the response portion
I don't
of
know
it.
if y'all know this, but every time you donate, the Lord cries.
Totally right there, Syrian. But if you're leaving out right now, I hope that you guys have an awesome weekend. We'll be back fresh next week with some new videos. And I guess I'll be seeing you heathens later. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice. Bye, heathens. But don't go, because we've got the Skeptic Mafia comments coming up. Okay. Let me make sure that I got this situated on the screen here. Okay. Thank you for checking on that, hon. Okay. There we go. All right, let's get on over there. All right, so first up, we got Uhan Roderick.
Hey, I don't know if y'all know this, but every time you donate, the Lord cries.
Thank you there, Curly Blanket. But we got Uhan Roderick, who says, not gonna lie, forgot today was Friday, so do what Crisper usually says and lick some of them buttons. Love you 3000. Don't lick buttons. Jonathan Hanachek. Oh shit, Hellbound Hillbilly gave a big one. Thank you there, Hellbound. Gary White says, I guess they don't have a clue on what atheism is about. And from what I'm seeing is that they are strawmanning their points instead of doing much better research. I agree. They did strawman a good bit. That's why strawman's in the thumbnail.
Maybe you should quit drinking all that beer, GE.
Well, I'm drinking whiskey tonight, so joke's on you. Vanta Blue says, presupposing the non-existence of something that hasn't been proven to exist is perfectly reasonable. And teaching your children to shy away from science isn't. There's also the difference between teaching about material things like how to dress, eat, act versus a sky daddy. And they're admitting to wanting to believe because death is scary and the risk of the wrongs in the world, many of which are caused by religion, not getting their deserved justice. Spoiler! They won't. But I do agree we should live to be our very best, which is why I don't have issue with theists that don't shove their religion down my throat. I agree there, Vanta. I also don't have a problem with theists that don't shove their religion down people's throats. Don't have a problem with it.
Maybe you should quit drinking all that beer, GE.
And then, more admitting that they believe because the world is scary if they don't have their sky daddy to give them meaning and hope, for not throwing away their lives. Thank you so much there, Vance. We got Michael W. Roble next, who says, nobody expects the Catholic imposition. We don't indoctrinate children. We just tell them that unless they follow our rules and do exactly as we say, they will end up in hell burning forever. That's what Christian love is, and they should be thankful for it. The last thing any Catholic priest should be talking about the proper treatment of children, especially with the discovery of 751 unmarked graves at another residential school for Indigenous children in Canada that was run by the Catholic Church. I'm sorry for bringing this up, but this story has me raging. Also, I learned today that possibly the Catholic Church helped Hitler escape. I don't know about that. I heard it on this documentary thing that we're looking at. It's possible that happened.
Well, not necessarily Hitler, but they were the Catholic Church and the Red Cross in Europe. They supported what were they called, rat lines?
Yeah.
Which was kind of like the Underground Railroad for Nazis. Like they got Nazis out of Europe.
Yeah, so not
and the Catholic Church supported that.
Regardless of whether or not Hitler used these rat lines, they still established them to help save Nazis. So
yeah, they would get them new identities, and get them out of Europe.
Yep. I'm sorry for bringing this up, but this story has me raging. Oh yeah, trust me. I mean, it's sad that I'm not surprised by it, but it's still horrible. These schools, which First Nations children were often forced to attend, operated across Canada until 1972. Yes, 1972. Their purpose was to indoctrinate the native children in the religion and ways of the white man. And who better to operate many of them than the Roman Catholic Church? Then at the end, Bear Priest says to the hipster priest, you were an atheist for a while. Oh, I think they was talking about an author being an atheist for a while. The author that he quoted right there at the end, he was saying, and he was an atheist for a while. It's the author that he quoted. Anyways, and the hipster priest replied, so are you. Which roughly translates as, we both have issues with our sexuality that we don't want to admit publicly, so we became priests. I don't know about that last part, but thank you so much there, Michael, for your comment. Quentin Van Boven says, all right, let's dive into his arguments. You don't indoctrinate your kids into eating healthy because you can teach them and show them critically the benefits and reasons as to why you should. You can't necessarily do that with God, and also the way religion is taught most of the time, or at least in the case, in my case, was this is what we believe, and there is no need to question it. Yep. The second one they bring up is justice. But in Catholicism, you can be a shitty person, but if you accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior and repent, you get into heaven. You could have killed more people than Dr. Harold Shipman, and I don't know who that is, and still get in simply because you have faith and repented. Does that sound just to you? It sure doesn't to me. Also, correct me if I'm wrong with anything I've said here. No, I think that you could totally go on a murder spree, be a Catholic, and then like repent of your sins and never murder again, still get into heaven. But the thing with Catholicism is that you've got to truly repent. Whatever in the fuck that means. my Google Assistant thing on my phone just looked up whatever in the fuck I just said. I know of few people trying to say that the Big Bang evolution disproves God. If anything, they say it's just making the gap that he can hide in smaller. Also, why do we need this external being to be thankful towards? Can't I just be thankful for all the good stuff I have in my life, be it a family, friends, pets, etc.? You would think. Now time for some shilling. Make sure you lick the like, share, and subscribe buttons and that little bell to make the AI overlord look favorably upon GE. Apparently it helps a lot and it's free, so really, do you have anything to lose here? If you can, consider joining the Skeptic Mafia for some sweet perks like emojis such as these. You also get to help choose Friday's video, a monthly hangout, a podcast that comes at who knows when now. Damn, that shade. A Discord channel. Oh, and you can make comments like these where GE reads out almost anything you type. I would put a joke here, but can't think of one that hasn't been worn out yet. Anyway, that's my time. Remember to stand up and use your voice. It's right there, Quentin. Stand up and use your voice to call us out on our our erratic podcast schedule.
We're trying. It's been really busy the past week. All the trying to move house building, packing. It's just been a lot. We've got a lot going.
Yeah, we have. And I've been lazy on occasion. Thank you so much there, Quentin. Command Cyborg says, let me guess before I watch this. It's going to be 3, at least, misunderstandings about what atheism is and entails. Here we go. 0. Atheism. Oh, indexing at 0. Good on you. Atheism brings nothing up except I don't believe in gods. 1. Bingo! You just made Dawkins' point for him. He might not be the greatest philosopher, but he has some other points. Perhaps you guys especially should be careful about talking of getting to them while they're young, eh? 2. Good point. Command Cyborg.
Okay.
2. Congratulations. You mixed up Occam's razor with Pascal's wager. I thought you had to study a bunch before becoming a chaotic priest. So, if there's no hell at the end of the rainbow, there's no ultimate reckoning. Tough Lily's cookie. Tough Lily's cookie. Life ends. That's pretty much it for every motherfucking last one of you. It's so meaningless. Well, boo-hoo. Don't be a nihilist then. Problem solved. By the way, on the 666th day, God made hell, and he saw it was very good. Or what? 3, again, congratulations on not being Yex or Flurfs. So you don't get to discount most science. Whoopity-doo! Smash all the buttons. If you join the Skeptic Mafia, you can play with the whale peen and make GE say all kinds of stuff. For instance, something about indexing at random non-zero numbers. Random shill here. Hey, the Discord thing, we do community. Oh, there's a poll every Wednesday or Thursday where you get to pick the video for this Friday. I mean, it's a really good deal. You get a lot of shit for being a Skeptic Mafia member.
Oh, do you want to mention the hangout thing?
Oh yeah. There's also a monthly hangout. This monthly hangout is going to have to take place on Sunday. Last week I said on Saturday, but it's going to have to take place on Sunday because Xander needs to go back to his mom's Saturday at the time when I said that we'd be having our hangout. And because we got a lot of stuff going on tomorrow, not going to be able to do it any other time. So Sunday at about 5 p.m., I think, is when we're going to be having the hangouts. That's 5 p.m. Central. So I hope that some of the Mafia members can make it. Let me know in the side chat if you can or if you can't. I'd really love to see get a good gauge on how many people will be able to make it. But anyways, on to Christmas and the Derp Squirrels. Oh, he said, Command Cyborg said, thank you and good night. Transmission terminated. No whale peens. Oh, a thanks, Bear. Christmas says, yet again, I didn't get the time to watch the video ahead of time, but I doubt it's anything new. They just keep on reiterating the same things, or is that regurgitating? Well, reiterating is if they're repeating the same things. Regurgitating is if they're recalling it like from memory, but regardless of whether or not it's been repeated. So they're both regurgitating and reiterating. So both. Why not both? Meh, pish posh, same difference really. Anyway, here's to a good stream. It's a thanks, Bear.
thankful.
Yeah. What?
Like in the video, remember you can be thankful.
Oh.
Can be thankful. Look at that right there.
Yeah, right there.
Prisoner's
Thanks.
thankful.
He's thankful to me. I'm an overlord now.
What? That's not what this.
Oh. No, really. Thanks for all the awesome content, John. You're awesome. And you know what else is awesome? Subscribing to Godless Engineer. Well, also Casey's awesome. And licking the like button and becoming part of the Skeptic Mafia, where you get extra content as well as other stuff, like being able to watch a video ahead of time and getting GE to say silly stuff like, nothing beats the refreshing taste of a Duff beer. Duff, because your liver's got to go sometime. And then there's Fallen God, which I have to say, I meant to do this early. Oh, apparently it's just grabbing whatever screen I have up. Hold on. I can get to my keep here on my phone, so it doesn't expose all of my weird musings in my Google Keep. I got to keep some ridiculous thoughts to myself. So I promised Fallen God I'd do this from I think Thursday's video. But Fallen God wanted me to give a shout out to his wife, Kelsia. So what up there, Kelsia? What up, Kelsia? How you doing this Friday night? Fallen God's been a supporter for a long time. He was able to just now get back on, and so he made that request, and so I was like, definitely, dude. So anyways, Fallen God says, to quote a dumb man, interesting. If y'all don't know what that's from, that's a flat earther named Jeranism, who did a experiment that would either prove that the earth is a sphere, or at least curved, and or it could prove that it's flat. Did not prove that it's flat. It proved that it's curved, and the only thing he could say was interesting.
That was really funny.
It was. Oh man, back in the days of flat earth shit. I've heard that it's dying. Is it dying? Like, I really have not seen a lot of flat earth shit going on. Maybe it's just because I don't pay attention to that whole scene anymore, but I don't know. Anyways, Trickster says, well, here we go again, listening to people talk about what atheists think and probably don't even ask an atheist if they even know any atheists. I always find it the highest of ironies when a person of faith uses the word presumption when they are clearly the champions of presupposition. Sorry, the word presupposition, when they are clearly the champions of presupposition. Atheists do not often say that most people of faith only believe so that they don't burn in hell. Atheists never say that the Big Bang or evolution proves or disproves God. As a matter of fact, they are not even interested in the reality or lack of God. Again, we are watching people try to tell people what atheists think or believe, but I'm willing to bet that they have never even asked an atheist what they believe.
Woo! Bear money!
Fuck yeah, Terrence. Thank you. Again, like, subscribe, and share.
Drinking all that beer, GE.
Got a couple of bucks burning a hole in your pocket? Join us in the Skeptic Mafia. It's a blast, and you get a lot of cool stuff in return. And this evil atheist and his wife are going to give some of that money to the less fortunate. So evil.
Your horns. Oh, that's where your horns go.
Next is Urban Imposter saying there is a difference between teaching your children important things like healthy eating habits and a magic man in the sky. That's true. And KC was first.
Yeah, I was.
Thank you, honey, and Urban Imposter. Thank you. All right. Well, that's going to be it for the Skeptic Mafia comments tonight. Really appreciate everybody turning out. Let's see. We got a lot of super chats to get through. Hold on one second. My shit's got to reorient itself. Let's see. Syrian started us off with saying, funny how Catholics think we atheists think. Curly Blanket says, thanks for supporting my people this month. You're welcome. Hellbound Hillbilly says, I missed last week, so here's the tips from last week's
Just a
stream
little
and
bit
this
of
night's
money.
one as well. Daniel M says, I missed my...
you.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
For
Sorry.
the tips.
Yeah.
Give us the tips. Thank you.
Sorry. Thank you, Hellbound. I just went right past it.
I know.
Let's see. Hellbound Hillbilly said, sorry. Daniel M says, I missed my comment this week, so here's one on me. Oh, thank you so much there, Daniel. Denny's D Dreamer says, you can call me Chicken C. I'm going to change my name. The LGBTQ donation is why I donated tonight. My kid is part of the community, so it's close to home. Oh, that's awesome to hear. Chicken C, thank you so much.
Hey, I don't know if y'all know this, but every time you
Terrence
donate,
said,
the
hey,
Lord
GE,
cries.
it's been too long. Here's a super chat for old time's sake. Oh, thank you there, Terrence. Appreciate you, man. I thought I hadn't seen you in a while. JG-Man 2645 says, the cannibalistic nature of Catholicism is never talked about as much as I think it should be. Thoughts? You're talking about how the transubstantiation. If you don't know, there's a Catholic belief that once you take communion and you put the piece of bread in your mouth and it
has nothing to do with mouth.
You have to eat it. Well, how else are you gonna eat it?
But
shove it up your ass?
The transubstantiation has nothing to do with you eating it. The transubstantiation happens whether you eat it or not.
So wait a second. Are you trying to tell me that if they don't use all of the cookies, then
the cookies? For God's sake, John.
You're trying to tell me if you don't eat all the wafers, it turns into like just a pile of skin? When does transubstantiation happen?
It happens when the priest blesses it, like before communion starts. They do the whole hold it up to the sky and shit.
That's when it magically turns into it?
Yes.
You see, here's what when you first told me about because I'm a bad former Catholic, okay? I'll be the first to admit it. I went to 4 years of private Catholic school. No idea that the communion supposedly was like literally the flesh of Jesus, okay? So here's what I thought with the whole transubstantiation thing. I thought that like it's obviously still a wafer cookie thing, right? When he breaks it apart,
it's called a host.
What if it's there's multiple hosts though? If it is it like one of them, one wafer is a host?
One wafer is a host.
Why are there multiple hosts if there's one Jesus?
I mean, I don't know. I could cut you into bits.
And would those be individual hosts?
No.
What does host even mean in this context?
It's what they're called. For fuck's sake, you were Catholic.
God. Okay, so here's how I thought that it happened. Because to me, I remember my time as a Catholic. They would bless it, they'd break it apart and everything like that. Still obviously a host wafer. Like this, I guess unleavened bread is what it is. Is that right?
They're unleavened.
Right, unleavened bread. Okay, so here I am, knowing that it's still basically a cracker, and they're feeding it to the person in line, and I'm sitting there thinking the only point at which it has to turn from unleavened bread wafer into flesh is when it's going down your gullet and you can't see it. Okay, so when she told me about this transubstantiation thing, I'm like, wait, they eat it and it turns like inside of them?
No.
Like it's some kind of like hidden thing of turning into flesh?
You have the weirdest imagination.
Hey, you know what? I love my imagination, okay? It's got more character than my hairline. All right?
Well, see, that's why it's so weird is because like it obviously doesn't turn to body pieces and blood, right? The host of the wine. It obviously does not turn into that. So that's why it's, a lot of people will say, well, it's symbolic of, right? But the Catholics do not believe it. They believe it literally turns into, even though it's still a wafer and it's still the wine, like, you have to have like this faith turns into, I don't know. It's fucking weird. I never had that. Like, to me, I always, even though I was Catholic.
What are you doing?
I still thought it was symbolic. Even though I knew the Catholic.
I blew my load.
Right. But there's people that, wasn't your stepmom one of those that believed that it was literally the flesh and blood of Christ?
Well, I mean, Catholics are supposed to believe.
If I would have known that that's what I was consuming, I would have chosen not to get it. I felt special being able to go through the whole, like, ceremony of being able to eat the flesh of Christ. I had no idea that I was compensatory, or I don't even know if that's a correct word for it, but I didn't know, complicit. I didn't know I was complicit in eating the flesh of another person. I had no idea that when he, did the bread up there, broke it in half, he's basically breaking in half somebody's skin. I had no idea because, fuck me, I see like a cracker wafer that's being cracked. I'm not trying to be like antagonistic. I'm just saying, when I was a Catholic,
that's what everybody sees.
I know. I'm saying that when I was a Catholic, I saw it, and that's all it ever was to me. Was like, was a cracker.
It's symbolic.
I get that it's symbolic, but there's people that,
to you it was symbolic.
No. Well, I mean,
your thought process was, this is symbolic.
I didn't know what the fuck we were doing.
Well, so
okay? No, real talk.
Clearly you didn't know what the fuck was going on.
No, I didn't, okay?
That is
evident.
Listen,
real talk here. I had no fucking clue why we took communion or why I, as a 7 or 6-year-old, was able to drink wine.
You weren't.
Okay?
It's 6? When did you have first communion? Usually that's at 7.
I don't know, maybe 7? I'm not sure. I think I was in like maybe 4th grade, because 5th grade was like when we stopped doing the whole Catholic thing.
So, I'm sorry. You said you had no idea what was going on. Didn't you have to go to catechism classes? Like, didn't you have to go to like CCD?
Didn't you have to take calculus?
I did take calculus.
Do you remember any calculus?
I mean, this is not about me. Or about
My point exactly. Okay, catechism classes was like calculus for you. Like, but for me, like, that's just a trade-off in topics here. No fucking clue as to what I was agreeing to when I took the cookie from the priest.
You know what? I got an A in calculus, you dick.
That's not the point. I passed catechism. That doesn't mean I remember shit about it. I just remember, for some reason, my mom had ashes that she drew a cross on my forehead for, and I was sitting there on the couch.
Wait,
like,
your mom did it?
Yeah, well,
out of what?
I don't know. She just had like a little thing full of ash, and she went, I don't know.
Like at your house?
Yeah.
What?
I think it was like prepping for, or it was some, I don't know. I had to do like an actual like ceremony and everything, but for some reason I remember sitting on the couch and my mom was like, all right, and then and like that's the complete memory that I have of it, but it took place before I actually went to the catechism like ceremony.
That doesn't happen at a catechism ceremony. That's what happens that's what happens on Ash Wednesday. Those are different. When you get your first communion and all that other kind of shit, they anoint you with oil. For God's sake, what kind of Catholic church did you go to?
It was the one down in Decatur.
Oh my God.
All of that is really fun. It's really messed up, like my memory of like the catechism and all
Timothy,
that.
what the
Because
fuck
all I
ever? Shut
remember
the
is
fuck
like
up.
running around playing with other kids, and then all of a sudden I'm getting cookies shoved in my face and I'm having to drink wine.
Not cookies.
I mean, they were shitty cookies, but
They weren't cookies. But their wine is good. The church wine is the best wine. You know, my grandmother, she used to buy her wine from the church before they before it was blessed. But like the distributor, she had a deal with she knew the priest. They were friends of our family, and so she would have them order more wine, and she'd go pick up the cases of wine at the church because it was the best one.
What kind of wine? Box wine?
That wasn't.
I can just see it now. You know that there's some kind of redneck Catholic church out there that's like, oh shit, we ain't got none of the special wine. Why don't you run down there and get some of that box wine? I saw they had some of that shit down there. Make sure it's a red.
To be fair, they could bless it.
Yeah, they could. we had a few super chats. Uhan says, I also like being annoying. Thank you, Uhan. Jamie Morningstar says, hey yo, just got off work. Sorry I'm so late, but I love y'all. Passing forward my tips. Thank you so much there, Jamie. Uhan says, you don't want to know. What are you doing?
I blew my load.
Uhan says, you don't. Oh shit.
To Timothy, what the fuck ever? Shut the fuck up.
Uhan says, you don't want to know what the priest did on or to that cracker before. Oh, it's nasty. Daniel M says, Boone's Farm. Oh yeah, bless that shit.
No.
I could see a priest blessing some Faygo. Shadowy Twilight says, for wonderful conversations about Catholic cookies.
I do have to say though, when it's kind of like a sad fun. When a different my other grandmother, when she died, she wasn't Catholic, but her son ended up being Catholic. This was and he and his wife insisted upon having like a graveside Catholic.
You are blessed by Christ, ma'am.
And
or sir.
The priest.
You are blessed.
Okay, and so the priest had to bring holy water. Do you know my mother? My mom is not religious, but she was so I don't know if offended is the right word, but so taken aback because the priest brought the holy water in a fucking Aquafina bottle. Not even lying.
To Timothy, what the fuck ever? Shut the fuck up.
Aquafina bottle and use that. That was you do funerals. That's part of your living, and you don't have a something to make people feel like it's special. Put it in a fucking glass jar or something. What the hell?
Well, yeah, but
bottle. She was like, "This is ridiculous."
Down here it'd be Mountain Dew, and he'd put his thumb over the top so it just gets a little bit out. Do the do.
See, that's what we're gonna do when my mom goes.
Yeah.
She, how she's about to die Mountain Dew.
Yeah. Elizabeth Richardson says, you guys are cracking my shit up tonight. Jane says, bizarre act before first becoming a Christian in mid-20s. I went to Catholic church for a few years just to get the cookies.
Why? They're horrible. They are horrible.
Yeah. You know what I always wanted as a Catholic?
What?
Being in church and everything like that. Every time they went to do the communion, I sat there in whatever pew I was in. I was like, what happens to that big motherfucking cookie? What does he?
The priest eats that. But not all
That's
of them,
a
obviously.
big fucking cookie for that priest to eat right there. I feel like he needs to, share a little bit.
It's the ceremonial one. They just a lot of times what they'll do is they'll actually break that up, and it becomes they just give it to.
Well, yeah. So at the church that I went
by
to,
Christ, ma'am. or sir, you are blessed.
At the church that I went to, he'd break it up and he'd feed it to the people around him that was up there. So, I mean, I'm just sitting up there like, that is a big fucking flake. Oh shit.
Yeah, they're not round. I mean, some churches don't use round ones anyway, but most of the Catholic I've been have round hosts.
Yeah.
But the big one. Occasionally you'd
May the power of Christ compel you to get the fuck out of here.
I don't know if you guys know this, but you can go on Amazon and order you the portable the portable communion packs.
Yeah, with the little host and it has the wine and it's like a freaking what are those things that you feel that got the little cups like you've got the crackers and the cheese or the cookies and the frosting.
What's those things? Lunchables.
No.
Catholicables.
No, they're not like Lunchables. For God's sake, they're like the little things, crackers and the dip. Not Lunchable. People in the chat will know what I'm talking about.
Let's see. Daniel M says, speaking of the holy water, does the Catholics make the sink at the front of the church slightly acidic? One of my friends said it burns his forehead a little. He's just possessed. Gary White says, you two are making my night. I haven't laughed this hard in a long time. Thank you, Gary. Uhan Roderick sounds like Pepperidge Farm. It remembers. You know, being a cat, like I went to 4 years of Catholic school. And I mean,
that
honestly,
makes it worse.
Huh?
I forgot that you went to Catholic school. That
Hey,
makes it
I don't know if y'all
worse.
know this, but every time
Like,
you
not
donate,
only
the
did
Lord
you go
cries.
to catechism classes, but you also went to Catholic school, and you still don't know the big. That's pretty terrible.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, I'm fine. It just, yeah, it amazes me too that I didn't know all this stuff. But you see, when I was going there, like I just pretty much focused on the good parts of the Bible and like the good lessons. I mean, I taught myself how to do this while I was sitting in mass. You know, live long and prosper.
I know what you're doing. You taught yourself that. Can you switch?
I can't do the West Side thing now. I'm not part of a gang. What is this? West? Is this like West Side and then this is East Side? Maybe.
No.
No.
No. I don't know.
I don't know, but that's not it. But no, I mean, like when I just wouldn't pay attention at all. I remember I got in trouble one time because I was sitting there in the pew at like the Wednesday mass that we'd have to go to as being part of the school that was attached to the church. And I was sitting there and I was just sitting, I was looking at the father as he was walking down the aisle and everything. I'm like, what the fuck does his dress feel like? So I'm like, I'm going to touch his dress.
Robes.
Whatever. He walks down and I touch him. And I got in trouble when I got back to class. The teacher was like, and John is over there trying to trip the father.
You know, they kind of feel like tablecloths.
They did. It did. Mm-hmm. It was like, I wouldn't say high. It was like a low thread count, like tablecloth or something like that. Anyways, now almost a doctor says, I was once in Catholic school and I was not listening at all. The priest asked me a question. I just randomly said the name of the current pope and somehow that was the answer.
That's KC's money.
Uwan said joke was the priest liked it. Anyways, I gotta get out of here, guys. It was awesome hanging with y'all, really shooting this shit here at the end. That's what happens when I drink this particular whiskey that's of such high proofage. Proofage.
Is that the technical term?
Yep. Sirnian said GE, you weirdo. I don't know what I was weird about, but I can guarantee you I am a weirdo at times. Grant says GE is a nerd. I totally fucking am. Elizabeth Richardson says, but you can make the blood symbol? But can you make the blood symbol? I used to. Like, oh, fuck. I don't know. Or something. I don't know. That's somewhat close.
Turn to gang symbols on G.
Gang symbols on GE.
It just looks like your hands are flipping each other off.
That's the GE gang symbol. It's anyways, I gotta get out of here, guys. Y'all are awesome. I can't wait to see y'all next week. And I guess that I will see all the Skeptic Mafia members on Sunday So I'll see y'all then. Don't forget to stand up, use your voice, all that kind of good shit. And I guess we'll see you guys later. Late super chat from Quentin saying one last one for the road. Make sure this goes to only the shittiest of causes. See y'all later. Don't forget to stand up, use your voice, and all that kind of good shit. Bye, heathens.
Bye, y'all.